My sister sent me a text that shattered 10 years of loyalty. Hey, don't take it personally, she wrote. But we've decided to keep the wedding immediate family only. I was her maid of honor. And 2 months later, I watched her walk down the aisle, on Instagram, while I was sitting in a tiny cafe in Rome, wearing the same dress I'd bought for her big day. Except this time, the world was watching me. If you've ever been underestimated, excluded, or made to feel like you don't belong, hit that like button, subscribe, and get ready for one of the most satisfying stories of family revenge you'll ever hear. Because sometimes, the best revenge is success dressed in Italian silk. My name's Isabel, I'm 28, and for most of my life, I've been the invisible sister. The one who remembers birthdays, plans surprise parties, and picks up the pieces when everyone else screws up. My sister Hannah was the golden child, beautiful, confident, loud, the kind of person who walks into a room and everyone looks up. And me, I was the supporting character. The quiet one who keeps the family organized. When Hannah got engaged, I was genuinely happy. She'd been dating Matt, this tall, charismatic real estate guy who made everyone feel like they were lucky just to be in his presence. Hannah asked me to be her maid of honor. I cried when she did. I spent months planning every detail, her bridal shower, her bachelorette trip, designing her invitations. Then, about 6 weeks before the wedding, I got a message from her, no call, no visit, just a text. Hey, Izzy, please don't be upset, but Matt and I are downsizing the guest list. Keeping it family only. Family only. I blinked at the screen. I was family. I called her immediately. Hannah, what are you talking about? She sounded flustered. It's not personal, Izzy. It's just, budgets, space, but I'm your sister. She sighed, like I was the one being dramatic. Izzy, you'll understand when it's your turn. When it's your turn. That line hit harder than she knew. Because in her eyes, I was never the one with a turn. I was the background character, the sidekick to her main act. The following week, she posted photos from her small, intimate rehearsal dinner. A table for 24 people. My parents were there. Our cousins. Even my childhood best friend, who, apparently, had made the cut. Everyone but me. I didn't eat for 2 days. Every photo felt like another punch. Then, on the night before the wedding, my mom called. Izzy, don't be upset, she said. You know how Hannah is. She didn't mean to hurt you. I could hear laughter and clinking glasses in the background. They were all at the hotel, celebrating. That was the moment something inside me shifted. A quiet click, like a lock turning. If they wanted me out of their story, fine. I'd write my own. The next morning, I booked a flight to Italy. It wasn't a random choice. Hannah had always bragged about wanting a Tuscan vineyard wedding, but said she couldn't afford it. So that's where I went. I used the money I'd saved for her wedding gift, plus a few thousand from my vacation fund, and rented a small villa outside Florence for a week. At first, it was supposed to be just an escape. A reset. But when I arrived, something changed. The villa owner, Gianna, was this warm Italian woman with a love for photography. When she heard my story over coffee, she said, "Then we make your wedding. For you." I laughed. Gianna, I'm not getting married. She shrugged. Who says you need a man to celebrate yourself? The next morning, she and her niece helped me braid my hair with wildflowers from the garden. I slipped into the pale gold dress I'd bought for Hannah's wedding and stood under the same sun that she was probably taking photos beneath, 5,000 miles away. Gianna took pictures. She told me to smile like I'd just chosen myself for the first time. Later that night, I posted 3 of those photos to Instagram with the caption, "Uninvited, but never unwanted." Found my own fairy tale. I put my phone down and went to sleep. When I woke up, my world had exploded. Over 2 million likes. Tens of thousands of comments. This is the most poetic revenge I've ever seen. You're the main character now. This is what self-worth looks like. Even a few influencers reposted it. The photos were everywhere, online magazines, wedding blogs, solo wedding, trend videos. Meanwhile, Hannah's wedding photos, the ones she'd hired a professional team for, barely cracked 400 likes. She called me 2 days later. Isabel, what the hell did you do? I stayed calm. What do you mean? You're trending. Everyone thinks you got married. You made me look like a horrible sister. I took a slow breath. Hannah, you didn't need any help looking like that. You did it yourself. She hung up on me. For a week, I kept getting messages from people, strangers telling me my post inspired them to celebrate themselves, to travel alone, to stop waiting for permission to feel worthy. Some brands even reached out. One offered me a modeling campaign for their travel line, another asked if I'd write an article titled, "The Sister Who Said No to Being Second Best." I did. It went viral again. Months passed. I thought that was the end of it, until I got a wedding invitation in the mail. Not from Hannah. From my parents. It was for Hannah's redo ceremony. Apparently, she and Matt were planning another event, this time, bigger and better. The note included a little dig: "We'd love for you to come this time, if your schedule allows." Petty. Absolutely. But poetic. Even more. I RSVP'd yes. The day of the wedding, I arrived in a cream silk dress, not bridal, but close enough to make her jaw clench. Every eye in the room flicked toward me as I entered. The whispers were instant. The viral sister had arrived. Hannah tried to act composed, but her voice cracked as she greeted me. "Oh, you made it." "Of course," I said, smiling sweetly. "Wouldn't miss family only." Throughout the night, guests came up to me quietly, saying how much they'd admired my story, how brave I was, how they'd never forget those photos. Even Matt's relatives. Hannah's perfect night turned into a soft, elegant humiliation, not because I made a scene, but because I didn't need to. The spotlight followed me naturally now. At one point, one of the photographers whispered, "You're the sister from the Italy pictures, right?" And asked if he could take a portrait, for the blog. Hannah heard. Her smile froze. Later, as I was leaving, she caught my arm. Her eyes were glassy, the mask cracked. "Do you even know what you did to me?" "Yes," I said quietly. "You showed me I was replaceable. I showed you I wasn't." Then I walked away. 6 months later, I was featured in Vogue Italia for a piece on self-ceremonies, women marrying their own independence. The feature opened with my now famous quote, "The greatest revenge is living beautifully when they thought you couldn't." Hannah and I haven't spoken since, but sometimes I see her online, trying to launch her own influencer brand. Her posts still hover around a few dozen likes. Mine reach hundreds of thousands. But the revenge isn't in the numbers, it's in the peace. The quiet. The knowledge that I didn't have to destroy her to rebuild myself. I just had to stop standing in her shadow. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this: sometimes the people closest to you will forget your worth until you make the world remember it. Don't wait for their invitation to shine. Create your own moment, even if it means booking a one-way ticket to your piece. If this story gave you chills, hit that like button and tell me in the comments. Have you ever been underestimated, and proved everyone wrong? And if you love stories where karma wears heels and poetic justice tastes like champagne in Italy, subscribe, because there's plenty more where that came from.